children should enjoy that phase of their life. Because when you become an adult, boy, oh boy, he does come with his own worries and with his own blessings and with his own everything. I was listening to the conversation of the things you guys hated from the guy who alleged that he had crocro on his skull. But you said that's not what it is, Abby. It's okay. And the one who didn't like to barb and the ones who didn't like to farm. It was quite an interesting conversation and put a smile on my face. Thank you. Thank you so much for staying with 95.1 Nigeria Info. It's 6 minutes after 3. And this is where I officially welcome you to Hard Fact on your passionate, trustworthy, conversational radio. On air, off air, online, on the street. We're that bankable. And you add color to our conversation every day by contributing, just listening. It means a whole lot to us. And I hope you're going to commit to that from now to 7 p.m. on Hard Facts. My name is Kimberly Wachuku. You can call me Kim, the Oracle, the Fellow, OTF, Madam Speaker, or Chanyamu of Nigeria Info. And I'll say yes to them all. Itodo is off today, so I'll be flying solo, but I'm not by myself as usual. Our very own Dr. Majid Dahiru, researcher, columnist, and tech team lead of Luxterra Leadership Foundation, is here with me. Dr. Majid, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, the Oracle.
I greet you.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Hope you enjoyed the holiday.
Yes, we did. In the best way we can.
Good to know. Good to know.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So let's start off with one story. We talked about it at length yesterday and 2 days back. It feels like, that's the next big thing we're talking about. That one is almost wrapping up, so we're going to move on to another one. But this JAMB versus Mesoma is one interesting one. And, as every day something unfolds, now it feels like the girl is admitting at this point.
Yes.
To the 249 as her score.
Yes.
And not the 300 that she was insisting on at one point.
362.
Yeah, that she was insisting at one point. And I know it's been the back and forth. JAMB has been trying to tell us, no, this is fake, this is this. And the girl say, how could I have faked it? I got this printout from their site, their server, after making requests. And, it became, one, Nigerians were taking sides and those who were in the middle looking at it from different perspectives to saying, what if it's an error on the part of JAMB? What if it's a glitch? They're not above making a mistake of that nature. Technology could mix things up. I mean, there are times in school where you've asked your lecturer to remark your script because you're not sure if they mixed your script up or you want to see them yourself. So there was that argument, and those were like, oh, this young girl, is she 16, is she 19? Why would she do that? Who did she work in cahoots with and all whatnot? But it's actually looking like there was a lot of manipulation to the results and figures and the likes of it.
From the beginning.
Was it?
It was clear. Sometimes, maybe because Nigerians have, or should I say many Nigerians, have distrust, instinctive distrust for public institutions, because like JAMB and others. And so it is always easy to take sides against, what the government is saying. And so that must have been one of such instances too. But if you know the JAMB we now have under the leadership of Professor Ishaq Oloyede, you will agree with me that a lot of improvement has been brought to that institution, sanity, and a lot of advancement in how they conduct their business of examination for entry candidates into the high institutions of learning in Nigeria. And so when they came out with their statement that, look, this was a forgery, this didn't come from us, ordinarily that should have led to rest the controversy. But again, there were more compelling arguments on the side of the young lady, and I knew that by yesterday.
Talking about being traumatized. How could she have?
No. You see, sometimes we should learn to remove sentiments and emotion from issues. Let's face issues squarely. First and foremost, JAMB actually made public the high scorer for the 2023 UTME examinations sometime in June. Because usually whenever JAMB conducts these examinations and then they release the results, there's something called a policy meeting that they usually hold. The policy meeting is chaired by the Minister of Education, and right now that we don't have a Minister of Education, the Permanent Secretary Minister of Education will chair that meeting. That meeting will have in attendance vice chancellors of various universities in Nigeria, the NUC, all relevant stakeholders in the tertiary education sector anyway were present. That is why JAMB will release the names of the highest scorer in the order of, the scores. So at that event, JAMB actually revealed the identity of the highest scorer. And the highest scorer then was revealed to be a certain, let me check her name again. I think I have it stored somewhere. I don't want to mispronounce her name, so let me read it out. So the highest scorer for this year's JAMB is Ume Kamsiyochukwu Precious. She scored 360, and she's a student of Deeper Life High School in Mowe, Ogun State, and she's originally from Anambra State. So she's the highest. It was announced, and from the information available to me, a lot of public-spirited individuals and institutions who usually give grant scholarships to such outstanding candidates in JAMB had already reached out to JAMB to say, look, give us the list of those who performed between the highest scorer up to 10th position for possible assistance in their educational pursuit. And have obliged them, such institutions. So what happened in this instance is that whereas Innocent Motors, or the chairman of Innocent, Chief Innocent Chukuma, who actually acted in good faith by saying, okay, since this young lady is from my community, she's a student in a public institution in my community, and she has performed this excellently. So I needed to also show some corporate social responsibility on behalf of my company and my brand. But what I think he didn't do was due diligence. No matter how moved you are by what is reported in the public, you must first clarify and verify from the institution in question, which has the statutory responsibility of, that wasn't done. But I think in the case of Anambra State government,
well, I think that's what even blew it out of the waters when they wanted to.
It was Anambra State government actually that kind of blew the lead on this matter, because you see, the Commissioner of Education in Anambra State is a professor too, and an educationist, an experienced one at that. When the Anambra State government intended or expressed their intention to honor her, deservedly so anyway, so the commissioner now decided to do some due diligence. And then she discovered certain discrepancies. And so she contacted JAMB. And JAMB said, okay, no, the person you're talking about is not the highest scorer. This is the highest scorer. And that this person scored, something quite below what she's claiming now. That was how the whole issue started. So JAMB was now compelled to go public to say, look, since that got into this extent where state governments are now tempted to bestow honor on somebody who is not the highest scorer in this exercise, they are about to say that what she's holding is forged. And based upon the forgery claim or statement by JAMB is because the QR code actually leads with a particular result from 2021. So meaning whoever did that arrangement superimpose that QR code that leads you right to that other young girl's result from 2021, who scored, I think, 138 or so. So I mean, however you look at it. And so JAMB is saying we did not release the results and then record it and release another one to this girl. That consistently her result has been 249. That the message that was sent to her, conveying her result to her, was 249. Like it was done to other students. And so JAMB went ahead to analyze this result that she's paraded to say, look, in this year's result, we have improved some of the security features to include photograph of the candidate. This does not have the photograph of candidates. So this is not the 2023 version of our result printout. So I think they've made the point. And from what we saw this morning, it is clear that somehow some adjustment is now being made on the side of the claimant. And one thing people didn't ask in all of these controversies is this. As a candidate, you can't declare yourself the highest scorer in any exam or competition. No. If, for instance, JAMB had announced somebody with 360 as the highest scorer, and you receive the result from JAMB that's indicated that you had 362, what you can do in this time is to approach JAMB to say, if I have 362, why am I not the highest scorer? Why am I not somebody with 360 highest scorer? At that point, if JAMB made a mistake,
they can correct themselves.
They will correct themselves in whatever way they can do it. But JAMB is saying, we never issued 362 results to you. Talk less of now recanting or retrieving it to issue the 249. It has been consistently 249 right from the time you've been printing it out. And that they have information at their disposal that you have printed out the result about 2 or 3 times at different locations. And it indicates in their own system, backroom system, whenever you actually go in there to print out your result, it indicates. That's the advancement that JAMB has been able to bring to bear in all of these issues. So I think it's a simple matter. In the first place, how did the young lady, out of 1.6 million students that start for this exam, how did she arrive at the conclusion that at 362 she was the highest scorer in the first instance? And if that wasn't the case, if, for example, she felt that because somebody was already 360, her 362 was the highest, she should have approached JAMB to say, I have 362. These are my results. Why am I not announced as the highest scorer? And the most painful aspect is the attempt to bring in ethnicity into this whole matter. It was quite
it was really unacceptable on social media that it now became a war of region, such that people became defensive, not asking the right question and arguing
it's so sad. And you see, God loves Nigeria so much that in this instance, the true highest scorer is also from Anambra State. She's also a female student. She's also a Christian. So, on what basis do you now think that JAMB is trying to victimize one Anambra indigene female student against another? On what basis? Why would you think JAMB will want to do this? What is JAMB out to gain? What is there to for what purpose? What is really at stake?
Well, that is also an angle, and it tells you how polarized things have gotten to the point where we're even talking about an alleged forgery. Yes.
And somebody was asking me, how come the real winner, now the real highest scorer, wasn't trained? I said, maybe because she's legit and genuine. You see, if you are brilliant genuinely, and you score this high points in an exam, you take it in your stride because it's something you have been consistently doing, maybe in all of your previous examinations and all of that. So you may not have that need to want to show it off, really, because this is academic. This is not cookathon, it's not showbiz. This is academic.
No, but over time we know that the highest scorer in JAMB always gets some sort of recognition.
I'm saying the trend will not be such that it becomes like a celebrity thing.
No, this surgery case just stole the thunder of the girl who got the highest. Because I know last year, 2 years back, they announced it.
I can't even remember those.
I can't either. But I know they always announce.
It's announced, then it is highlighted in the media because it's academic in nature. Yeah. It's sublime. It's not something that is boisterous in nature. So when something became a little bit of, a little bit in this dimension to the point that it now overshadowed even the real winner, then something was quite suspicious there. In essence, this should be laid to rest.
Should it? Because even though she's saying, okay, she wrote JAMB, she didn't get replied, now she's accepting it, the DSS have coming, investigations are on, and people would say, well, depending on what her age really is, or the 16, 19, and different one.
What should be laid to rest is the controversy over...
Is the controversy around it.
But the JAMB versus the claimant should be laid to rest.
But forgery issue is something to look at, because,
issue.
It's a lot of it going on.
Exactly. It's a serious issue. In as much as I have a lot of, I want to say, empathy for young Nigerians. I had wished that this whole thing didn't happen at all.
Yeah.
So that the young girl's career will not be delayed or derailed.
3 years ban from writing JAMB.
Because she's 19, she's liable for prosecution. So these are the issues I wish didn't happen.
Is she 19 or 16?
She's 19. All records now show she's 19. Her father says she was born in 2004. The only discrepancy there is the actual date of birth, but the year is consistent. But the issue is this. I wish this didn't happen at all. But the lesson we should learn from this is, please, in jumping to conclusions sometimes, let's set aside certain sentiments and look at the issues. In all of these, people forgot that the person who actually came highest in this year's JAMB shared the same ethnicity, region of origin, state of origin, religion, gender with the alleged claimant. So what was the, outburst and outcome exchange is all about. And the very school that this high scorer is studying, the Deeper Life High School in Ogun State, has also come out to display the scores of their students that actually sat for this year's JAMB. And over 100 of them crossed the 300 mark in JAMB. So I think that school is actually known for academic excellence. It was founded by W.F. Kumi, and I think it's like decency, discipline, forthrightness, learning and character.
Character and learning.
It's like their watchword, it's like a philosophy. And so they have been successful in grooming, well-behaved, honest students with high level of integrity that are also academically brilliant. And so there's a consistency to the fact that the highest scorer comes from a school with such brilliant performance. I'm told about 127 of them performed so well in this year's JAMB exercise. And it has been consistent over the years. They've won a lot of awards, both continentally and nationally. And so it's one of the high-flying schools in Nigeria where we still have some modicum of competence, academic competence that we should be proud of. So I just think this should be laid to rest on that level. Then the authorities can go ahead and do whatever they think. But, well, as somebody who is also a parent, I would simply, I don't know how to say this. I don't know, because a crime is a crime. But again, let me just say, I wish it didn't happen. I don't know what to say, honestly.
At this point in time, well, JAM has at this point suspended her from writing 3 years, withheld this one, even though she's saying it's unfair. But seeing that the entire nation was dragged into this particular matter, it became a trending issue. The gravity of it is one that you cannot say, okay, just honestly, let her go.
An institution was brought into disrepute because of the bad behavior of one person. Look, let's face it. Bad behavior should be discouraged. Some people tell you that she was following examples of politicians and all of that. I don't think anybody...
No, that does not even apply at this point. One wrong does not cancel out another.
I'm aware that as Nigerians, we have always called out wrongdoing at any level of the society.
Yeah.
Either the leadership level or the followership level. Either among the elderly people, among the youths, or teenagers. We have always... So let's just keep calling a spade, wherever we see it.
Yeah.
And so this is very sad. And I would advise the parents, the family, and the friends to just keep quiet at this point. Stop throwing in more issues that will cause great confusion and sympathy. And continue to drag issues that are very clear. This thing is clear from the beginning. Again, like I said, a candidate cannot declare him or herself.
The highest score.
You can't. It's only the authority that can declare you. And if you stumbled on a result that indicated that your score is higher than the person that was declared as the highest scorer, you cannot even go ahead and declare. You have to approach
but
the
Dr.
authorities.
Majid, there's also a part we need to address as to the level of manipulation of documents and the likes of it. I mean, this is the point where we need to find out how do we check this. And that's for also organizations to also try and...
No, but I think JAM did excellently. Otherwise,
no, it's not beyond JAM.
So maybe JAM, people should emulate what JAM has done. This is that QR code that JAM introduced. It's one of the saving grace here today. And the fact that they improved on the features this year again. But for the fact that JAM had introduced pictures of candidates on the results sheet, this matter would have become more serious than it is. Secondly, the fact that the QR code was coded in a way that you cannot actually duplicate it for the same candidate. So what people have done is to just superimpose. And so when you scan it, it takes you to that same candidate. You can't create another one outside of JAM for another candidate. So I think JAM should actually be commended for this high level, should I say, multiple layers of checks. And gatekeeping on their ICT processes. I think it's quite commendable. That's why JAM is speaking with a tone of finality. Like, this is forged.
All right, then.
It was not hacked. Their system wasn't hacked.
Okay, let's go for a very quick break. When we return, we'll talk some more.
Ellie, I don't want to wait till I graduate from this school before I think of what to do with my life.
Exactly. I am going to seriously work on my music skills. Let me use my talent well, I beg.
I would like to be a...
This is Nigeria Info.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info.
For the past 3 days, we've been talking Jam versus Meso, Ma, and the forgery allegation, and things have taken quite an interesting turn, in which Meso Ma on TV this morning admitted that indeed her score is 249, and Jam has since withheld that particular result, which, by the way, 249 isn't the worst. The cutoff mark is 140.
It's a very good result.
And
very good.
Banning her from taking the exam for the next 3 years. So it means that you can't get into a Nigerian university or polytechnic.
249 is a very high score, man.
Yeah. I mean, cutoff mark is 140.
It is a very brilliant chap to get 249 in JAMB, particularly with this CBT system where you can't really, you can't cheat, you can't. So she's brilliant. I mean, if she had scored 249, she was quite a brilliant young woman. So for me, JAMB honestly has no issue here because she didn't hack into JAMB system. Or let me not say she. Nobody hacked into JAMB system to bring out the result from inside JAMB.
So there was no breach on their part. Because, that's also something people were talking about.
There was no breach.
Is the system compromised? Can people actually manipulate their results that way?
Let me tell you something about JAMB. If you know Isha Kulere, the former VC of University of Ilorin, University of Ilorin operates as a private university in Nigeria, publicly managed, but one of the most ethical, standardized tertiary institution in Nigeria. Highly competitive. To get admission into University of Ilorin is almost like, I don't know. That is the kind of legacy people like that left wherever they have been. When it came to JAMB, people don't know what this man has done in JAMB. His leadership is key. When you appoint the right people into the right places, we can do miracle. This guy has transformed the JAMB beyond the level people are thinking. And that's why it was easy to detect. So JAMB is saying, look, there's a website, or rather there is an app in Play Store that they have discovered people are now using to design these things. But because they are one step ahead of those that are planning these things, whoever designed that app, they did include the current features. And the QR code on that app is consistent with one person's result from 2021. So, you see, JAMB was able to unravel it. And something that we should commend. Nigeria should commend a public institution that was hands-on to say, look, this didn't happen. This is not from us. And they've consistently proved it. And I think the young girl or whoever is close to them should just advise them to shut up now. I don't know. Because she's a young woman, whether she's 19 or not, she's young. She's a secondary school, student.
Yeah.
I have empathy. I won't say sympathy now. Empathy for anybody who is coming up and whose life is about or is about to be derailed. I'm not happy talking about this issue. But people should not rub it in any further. People should stop being divisive over this matter. It's a straightforward matter. It's bad behavior that should be discouraged. That should be frowned at. And people should rather turn their attention to celebrating the real winner of this academic contestation, rather. Let us celebrate the person that has been declared as the highest scorer. Right. That is what we should be displaying energy on now.
There's something before we move on to the next story quickly, which we talked about, the distrust of institutions.
Yes, comments.
And even when I was talking about it yesterday, I remember saying that that's something even on a personal note.
Yeah.
There's institutions, because you've interacted with so many things in Nigeria for a long time, you tend to have your reservations.
No, definitely.
And you don't want to take hook, line, and sinker whatever is coming from there,
true.
because you know certain history and certain events that have happened from the security to educational institution down to the universities and polytechnics, how they operate.
Yes.
So it's also something to look at, because I think if they had this high standard, and Nigerians could have that level of confidence. I mean, you speak so eloquently of the prof that is there.
Yes.
We hope it's not just about a strong man, but a strengthened institution that is going to leave that legacy where people can trust that if in future something like this presents itself, say, not JAMB.
No, the lesson we should learn here is, let us appoint somebody that is even better as JAMB registrar when the this tenure lapses. Don't go and appoint somebody there that is not competent, that don't have the integrity. We talk about integrity here. That's the most important thing to actually look out for. Integrity in combination with competence. That is, you can do this job, but you have the character to also do it.
Yeah.
So we need to have more of such people in government. And that's why JAMB has become sanitized. They are not perfect. I mean, they have their own little flaws, but not on this scale. And we've seen significant improvement from the days when JAMB do not remit into the Federation account to when they now remit. And we've seen consistent attempts and efforts, fruitful ones, to improve on the conduct of this examination every year. So no matter how you think government is not working, but when we identify one that is working, we use it as a talking point and as a reference point to other institutions of government to say, you can actually Actually do your work. Look at what this man is doing here. Just like what Baba Marwa is doing with NDLA. So we have evidence that clearly shows that we have the right people are in charge of affairs. They can strengthen institutions and they can work. And I mean, this is a lesson for all of us. So for me, this is one of the reasons why Olede should get some gallant, some kudos to say, look, we've seen how your improvement in JAM was able to detect quickly something that was fraudulent in nature. So I think we should stop this. Let's stop dissipating energy on this matter. Right. And just hope that, well, for whatever reason, let this girl's career be saved. Again, I don't want to say that sanctions shouldn't be applied because
no, but sanctions should be applied.
Everybody is equal before the law.
You can't drag the entire nation to debating and arguing if it was forgery, if it was an institution,
it's not good at all. I'm only being this soft on this matter because it involves a young person anyway. Yeah. But otherwise, we should. This is something that is not really funny because it polarizes the country. Let me tell you what saved the day. You know what saved the day in all of this? The highest score that didn't turn out to be somebody that was not from Anambra State, or that wasn't Itodo, or that wasn't a Christian. As when, for example, all of this controversy was going on, and the highest score that turned out to be from Oluyede State, who is a Yoruba or a Muslim. You think anybody would have? There would have been no meeting point on this matter at all. There's no way we would have gotten to the truth of the matter. So thank God that Anambra people have brilliant people enough to confess this year on this very controversial year, and so it has resolved it. So it clearly shows that what are you not accusing JAMB of doing? Is it that she's being targeted because of her ethnicity? The highest scorer has announced by the same JAMB, she has her ethnicity. Because of her religion, the same thing. Or because of what? So what are the factors now that you think JAMB is using against one for the other?
Okay. Let's look at comment here. Success Freaks on YouTube says, good afternoon. Thank you, Success. You're flying solo. Yes, I am. Welcome, Dr. Majid. Oreva Jr., good afternoon, the OTF. It's good to be here. Glad to hear Dr. Majid on the JAMB issue. Public trust on public institution needs to be worked upon. Justice Akomae, if Snake can swallow 35 million naira in JAMB office that's in Benue State, I think the same Snake can manipulate this girl's results. All right, then. Oludade Abiodun, good afternoon, Kim. Dr. Majid, high time for us to stop attacking. We stopped attacking issues with sentiment because some are saying JAMB as a body is attacking the lady because of where she's from. Ebenezer Samuel is also here. James Max says, good afternoon, Kim. God bless Mr. Majid. Just understand the Mesoma JAMB case today. I pray that Nigerians will unite against wrongdoing and unite in doing the right thing. And Tokwe, good afternoon to you, says, hey, Dr. Majid, Baraka de Salah. Okay. And you didn't see your Ram.
You didn't give me Ram.
Alrighty, it's Basri where I'm with my pen and paper to take down notes. Good to hear you. You're welcome. Please let's have the number. Dr. Majid, you're welcome. Vitalis from Lube. And good afternoon. My own was too much sending on messages all the time. When younger one, all right. Auntie Kim, it's high time we stopped introducing Mr. Majid with it. Okay, we started introducing him with a shekere, like a king. That all right, no wahala. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to Kim and our guests. Some people are even saying that the lady is being persecuted because of where she's from. All right, we talked about that. Oludade, we read your message already. Good afternoon, Dr. Majid. I think those who are tribalizing the whole JAMB score issue, saying it's I guess a particular region should stop because the student JAMB now officially announced as the highest scorer is also from that region. However, it's good Mesoma has been giving a scholarship by an organization to go and study anywhere outside. Joseph Sam from Airport Road. And Triple D from Waru says, good afternoon, Kimberly and our mentor, Dr. Majid. How did we arrive at this? From politicians to young girl manipulating the whole system. How can we have confidence in a system that doesn't have integrity? Every system is now being manipulated by everybody. What a nation. Which way forward, God? All right. God bless Nigeria, says Triple D. Beyond JAMB, sir, ma'am. People are using fake results, fake certificates to work. It's a deep thing. It's a deep thing, and I even know someone who always collects money to help people to hack results. All right, says Oshodi Ebenezer. And Mesoma had accomplices behind the scene. They should be fished out and made to face prosecution. Falsehood spreads by her sympathizer that she's a minor of 16 was deliberately orchestrated to incriminate Jam. She's an adult and should face prosecution and possibly sentenced to serve as a deterrent to those with such unsavory tendency. To make Nigeria great, we must put sentiment aside. As a parent whose children have written Jam, I'm not a fan of Jam at all, but on this girl's matter, I stand with Jam. Nice job, Dr. Majid and Kimberly. Jam has a lot of work to do. They are not doing enough. Frank from Wuse and Chris from Area 10. Help me ask Dr. Majid, how was Jam able to discover anything? Was it not the State Education Commissioner that called Jam for confirmation? Thank you very much, he said. And Richard from Ushafa, Elder Olatuja Richard says, there's been several cases of computerization error, mistakes from JAMB on results which have been aired on human rights programs in which the board admitted to have truly made these errors. There might be one of these issues. And like the guest in the studio has advised, let's wait and see how this will be treated. No one should call the young girl a fraudster just yet. Okay, I thought we've moved past this, but as your take. Charles from Kubwa. Good afternoon, Kim. Dr. Majid, I ask you this question. Do you say she's guilty of the offense? Where are the parents in the picture? What do you think would have happened if she was in China, if found guilty? Are there no political elite with same and similar offenses? We have had issues that have brought national attention in which you use in your station till date. Off your mic. Where is that today? What happened to them? All right, so people are bringing that she's not the first, other things happen and all of that. Maybe we should stop making excuses also and start to... Yes.
And those who are doing it now. So simple as that.
If it's found that there was an error, we should be able to address it and discourage
and I'm sure, yes, people are simply pointing to the fact that our political leaders that are supposed to be the moral compass of our nation are themselves
equally guilty,
immersed in high level immorality, corruption, ineptitude, and all forms of bad examples for people to follow. That is quite valid. But whenever we discover and identify some of these issues, we treat them equally. So we're saying, look, this does not mean that somebody who's also coming should follow in their footsteps. But I agree that we need a holistic moral rebirth in Nigeria. So that we have
we shouldn't get to the part where young people will now think, to fraudulently achieve certain things.
So we need a moral rebirth. So we're not just treating this in isolation of the general rot in the system. But again, we must give this the attention and the whatever it deserves. So please, let's not just... You can see I'm having difficulty talking about this issue because it's distressing, really. We have more serious issues that others we're talking about, but because this is also a serious matter that has dragged a natural institution into disrepute. So we must talk about it.
All right, let's go on to another story. And this time, groups, the Biriningwari Emirate Progressive Union, have urged President what?
No, it's allowed. We are still within the...
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. To disregard Ahmed Yerima's advice of negotiating with bandits. Yerima, former governor of Zamfara State, had on Monday during a meeting with Tinubu called for dialogue with bandits. The former governor noted that poverty and ignorance were the drivers of armed banditry. He proposed rehabilitation programs as part of the way the government can integrate the bandit into society. However, in a statement, the BEPU chairman said those advocating for dialogue lack the understanding of the structural formation and divergent goals of the armed bandit, and negotiating will not yield positive outcome, adding that the armed group view negotiation as a sign of weakness on the part of the government. We played the former governor, Sani Yerima's entire, speech when he met there and advocating for this and talking about issues that are both real and otherwise affecting certain region and perhaps contributing and fueling this sort of criminal tendencies, and talking about negotiating even took us back to the Niger Delta amnesty deal and how it kind of like doused detention and salvage to a certain degree the situation there. And it's something another group have come out to say don't listen to him. Different group are saying don't listen to him. But for me, Dr. Majid, is a little curious that we are still suggesting something like an amnesty at this point in time to addressing criminal behaviors that are outrightly criminal and economic in nature, where we should be calling for stiffer penalty, it seemed like. But then people will say there are certain cases when they prolong for so long, you have to change your strategy. There's always the carrot and stick approach to saying, what's the best way to quickly deal with this? He's coming out of nowhere and saying an amnesty. I'm sure some people must have met him. It depends on what's happening. His state is one of those worst hit in terms of the banditry, the criminality that they're dealing with. And that state also is one state where they have tried this armament negotiations with bandits and it backfired. Should we even be paying attention to this former governor at all?
The oracle. I was enjoying your analysis, really.
Okay.
I was really enjoying it.
The question was coming, actually.
The statement that was attributed to a former governor of Zamfara State, Ahmed Sani Yerima, is one that is a distraction at this point in time. But that distraction also is also laced with landmines.
Landmines?
Yes, and the President Tinubu, our current president and commander-in-chief, must be very careful of what that statement indicates. It is always very easy to politicize national security in Nigeria. Whenever a region feels excluded, whenever a region feels we are being taken for granted, there is always an attempt to weaponize insurgency, insecurity, terrorism, to draw attention to the elite discontent with the system. So that is the landmine that this distraction is laced with. And so the president will be very careful to make sure that as the first step towards tackling the security in Nigeria across board, across the entire country, is to administer this country with the principles of equity. I emphasize again, equity, fairness, justice, in such a manner that it would have been seen by all that no section of the country is excluded from the scheme of things, and that nobody is being punished for their political decisions in the last election that brought him into power, so that he can have the buy-in of everybody into his national security agenda and command national loyalty. This is even a constitutional matter, but he must prioritize this now. Why am I saying this? It is important that he does not promote any sectional affiliation to his personal or partisan interests and their interest in the scheme of things in the country. He must avoid, let me put it very succinctly, President Tinubu must avoid any form of, for example, Yoruba agenda or too much of partisanship at this point in time. I'm saying this because once anybody accuses him,
well, so far so good. He's not been towing that.
in fact, that's one thing I want to commend him for. Look at the service chiefs, for example. Every section of the country is represented. That is the first step. It has to be sustained and even made better. I say this because any day any section decides that he's marginalizing them, insecurity that is going on can be weaponized easily to draw attention. And how do they weaponize it? They need to drop such mantra of, we are pauperized, the people are poor, they are neglected by the government, that's why the thing is increasing.
Yeah.
But other than this, and this is something he has to ensure, the advice to dialogue with bandits in the north particularly is not just a misplaced one. I think it's a collective assault on our sensibilities as Nigerians for a former governor and former senator, somebody who wanted the president of this country, to come out at this time to still be calling for negotiations with bandits. Now, in addition to being just and fair in administering this country, the only other thing that the president needs to do, and quickly, is to carry out socio-economic development across Nigeria. Every part of Nigeria simultaneously. Improve the lives and well-being and economic activities across the country for the people, so that people will have hope restored, so that petty crime and all other forms of criminality can easily reduce, because people now have something that they can actually do and stay above board. These are just things he needs to do. Governance. Other than that, what he needs now is to double up effort, military and security effort, to decisively deal with bandits and all forms of terrorists, insurgents, anywhere they are found within the Nigerian territory. Decisively. The kind of decisiveness we didn't see in the last 8 years. Of course, thank God I was on this program for, and I was always almost I don't know, I became distressed at the time, calling the government to say, we are trivializing these issues. We're calling it former high-class classes, we're calling it banditry. These are terrorists, declare them terrorists and deal with them. It was when they brought down Air Force Jet and they invaded Nigerian Defense Academy, derailed it, Kaduna, Abuja train, and all, serious attacks, broke into Kuje here and rescue people. They will not realize that these people are terrorists. But then it was almost too late. He needs to sustain it. He needs to give the political way, the free hand to the service chiefs and other heads of security agencies to go after these people and give them what they need to do that job. You know why I'm saying this? If it's fair, and this is seen to be fair, when it goes after insurgents in the southeast, nobody will see it as punishing the region or fighting the region. When it goes after Boko Haram in the northeast, nobody sees it as attacking the particular religious group. When it goes after bandits in the northwest, nobody sees it as attacking the particular ethnicity or a region because it's fair. And similarly, whenever such thing happens, God forbid, in his own home region, he should do like Obasanjo did in 1999. When OPC carried out attacks on the Arewa community, he was swift. He was swift in denouncing them and asking anybody that they see that says it's OPC. If they try to arrest him, he refuses, they should kill him on the spot, shoot at sight. That was the first time I heard that statement, shoot at sight. That was Obasanjo for you. So let him be decisive across board. But he must deal with this issue. Look, you should send the bandits to heaven to dialogue with God on why they were killing fellow human beings. That is where they should go and do their dialogue. Should go after them. The state must show its might. But again, we need to bring back an issue we're talking about. And maybe the last government didn't quite pay attention. As this government is still new, and still in the honeymoon mood.
Yeah.
So we can still set agenda for them and give some suggestions on how to tackle these issues. One thing I'm still advocating for is, look, some level of civil participation in the defense of lives and properties, particularly in troubled communities. If you look at the tendency all over the world, whenever you have insurgency of this kind, that is intertwined with cultural and religious issues, it's a very difficult thing to resolve through conventional, because you cannot kill everybody in the region. You can't kill everybody in the northeast. You can't kill everybody in the south, in the northwest. You can't kill everybody in the north central.
Well, it's not everybody, but the people who are directly involved and pass
conventional warfare is such that you don't take prisoners. You can go in and just shell down everywhere. But you are fighting your own citizens now, among whom these people are embedded. So it's very difficult. It's always very difficult to do. So the best thing to do is to empower the very people within the community too, that are not of their kind, to be the first responders and the first line of defense against insurgents and terrorists. And now is the time to do this. We have vigilante groups across the country, particularly in troubled spots. In the Northeast, you have the civilian JTF, for example. It's been operating and very useful. If you interact with any commander in that theater of war, they will tell you that the civilian JTF has been very useful to the operations. In the Northwest, you have local vigilante groups that are not very much empowered by the state government because of this same amnesty issue. Like you rightly pointed out, Zamfara governor shouted amnesty at the beginning now. How did he end? He regretted offering them an opening branch and now called for full military operations. Governor Rufai tried it early in his day as governor of Kaduna by reaching and even giving them money. But he ended up calling for total military assault. That look, even if it will entail collateral damages of innocents and unarmed people, that it is worth it. He was even that quote unquote reckless in his recommendations. But what I'm still saying is, we need to constitute the people in some of these troubled spots into community vigilantes. For example, in Zamfara, the banditry is actually taking or has taken ethnic dimension. So it looks like it's a tribal war between the Fulanis and the Hausas. Yeah. Now, in this instance, what you can do is simple. Those who carry arms to come and kill people are terrorists, irrespective of the ethnicity. So what you can do is, for those who are the victims, because the same terrorists, if you're not killing houses and sacking their farms, they are killing Fulani cattle breeders and rustling their cattle. So all unarmed, innocent, law-abiding citizens of Nigeria that are domiciled in Zamfara are victims of this terror. They only operate. If they want to carry out revenge killings, they go to this other community. If they want to steal cattle and make money, they also go to this community. If they want to kidnap for ransom, they kidnap everybody at the same time. But it's the same group doing all of this. So let us not, because sometimes they hit at this other group, now make it look like it is a war between two ethnic groups. No. It's a war between criminals Criminals are waging war against unarmed citizens. So I want the Zamfara state government and governments of some of these kind of states to reconstitute the state vigilantes. And they should be made up of people from these two groups, particularly for Zamfara. We want to have Hausa farmers and Fulani cattle breeders. You know, there's a difference between a cattle breeder and a killer herdsman. I've made this analogy severally. A killer herdsman is one who is a skilled cattle breeder, but is not into the business of cattle breeding. And that is because cattle breeding is a cultural occupation of Nigeria's ethnic Fulani. So by nature, they have the skill, they can walk long distances. But in this instance, the killer herdsmen are no longer
into cattle breeding at all.
They have gone rogue. And they're a minority of the population. Similarly, you have Hausa farmers that have also gone rogue, that are also bandits. So let's not make mistake about it. But the truth is, for the Fulani cattle breeder, the Fulani man who's at home, tending to his cattle, doing other businesses, civil servant, and the Hausa man who is doing the same, amongst them, they should bring them together to form a vigilante for their collective defense. Now, but the difference is this vigilante group should be incorporated into the civil defense. I can't say this enough. They should create a corps. They should create a volunteer corps in the civil defense. Let them be incorporated into the civil defense, given the right training, given the right armament and logistics. But the logistics and the payment for the animation can now come from the state government. But the federal government will control them in case they want to go rogue with it. And what I'm saying, all ethnic groups.
Isn't that the same structure they have with the National Guards, particularly when there was a lot of cattle rustling going on around?
But they don't have the right caliber of arms. That's the difference. So bring them into a force. Now, why the government may not have the money to employ too many people into these conventional forces, the state government can now come in to take up that responsibility of saying, look, we want 10,000 men to be deployed across the communities. They're in their homes, but they are personnel now. But their salaries come from the state to be domiciled with the civil defense, pay them monthly, their logistic needs, everything they need to respond to attacks before soldiers, police, and air force arrives. Lives must be saved. This is one thing I think government should do now. The failure to do this is such that people will keep dying and going to be appearing helpless. So they should consider this option. It's a volunteer corps, volunteer. In every war-torn region, the people are empowered to be first responders and the first line of defense. For example, if you look at the Russia-Ukraine war, once Russia invaded Ukraine, you saw citizens going to pick up arms to defend their country.
Exactly, those who had training, no training at all. You saw that.
In Israel, there was a time there was knife attack in Tel Aviv. 234 incidents of knife attacks. What was the next thing the government called for? Okay, hey, folks, go and arm yourself and defend yourselves. We're not asking for free arms proliferation. No, we're saying you can't have a group like civilian JTF that is confronting Boko Haram with Dane guns. It's suicide mission. So sometimes what happens is, whenever they succeed in killing one or two bandits or terrorists, they will go and reinforce and come back. And with their RPGs and AK-47, they will overwhelm the entire community and vigilante and kill plenty of people and go back. And sometimes you can't even access more this terrain because of bad roads and difficult terrain. So I'm saying let people be able to defend themselves at least. Why this stress could be made to say, okay, reinforce and come and give backup to the civil population. And to make this easy and safe, you can even begin this recruitment into this volunteer corps in civil defense from ex-servicemen that are domiciled, that are retired, and in their community. You can start from there because they already have the experience and bring them in and mix them up with just ordinary people and see how far we can go.
Let's go for a very quick break.
This is Nigeria Info.